नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, chapter number 18, and we are on sloka number, where were we? We did up to 36, right? So we read that Yayati, he got cursed by his father-in-law. So father-in-law became father out of law. You know the word outlaw? He was not in-law. So he cursed him and he made him an old man. And it had an immediate effect. So the point is this, that if you are too much after sense enjoyment, you get old. That is the meaning. So now Yayati is standing there, and suddenly he had a hunchback and he could hardly see or hear, and he was like shaking his head. Sometimes people in the old age, they shake their head, you have seen? Why do they shake their head? He says, no, I don't want to go. No, I don't want to go. That's what they're saying. Death is saying, you are ready? Are you ready? He says, no, no, no. So they continuously saying no. That's why they shake. There's a dialogue going on between death and them. So this is what happened to Yayati. So then Yayati, he became humble now. Old age makes everyone humble. When you are young, you are proud. Then when the strength is gone. So he said, Atripto asmi adya kama nam brahman duhitari smete Vyatyasyatam yatha kamam vaisa yo vidhasyati. So he said that, oh Brahman, I am still not satisfied with my desires, and also this is a curse to your daughter. Because he thought he is cursing Yayati, but Yayati has his, what they call as better half. So better half is also getting cursed, right? So this is what you do when you get angry. You don't think that you are harming yourself. So if he really loved his daughter, then at least he should not have cursed something which will influence her, which will make the daughter also suffer. So now the daughter is young and the husband is old. Not a good combination. So at least he is being truthful. He is straightforward, right? He says, I am not satisfied yet. Happy? Because now is the time to speak. So he says that Atripto asmi adya, that I am not satisfied, kamanam. So Brahman and duhitari smate. So, and it is your daughter who is my wife. So better do something. So Vyatyasyatam yatha kamam vaisa yo vidhasyati. So the sloka is interesting. Half is spoken by Yayati, other half is spoken by Shukracharya. All that is not said. So by that time Shukracharya realized that this is not a good thing. So he says, well, what you can do is you can exchange. If somebody can give you his youth, then you can give your old age to that person. And you can become young again. So this facility I can give to you. But who will do that? So this is what he said. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti says, Kamanam iti nagnistripyati kashtanam iti vat. So there is a sixth case here. So something like gives an example that fire is never satisfied with wood. So therefore it says sixth case is used, there should have been actually third. Duhitari iti bhangyatvat shrapo ayam tav duhitri api phalitaya iti vyanjitam. And he is saying that your daughter, I am not satisfied with your having relationship with your daughter. So Vishwanath Chakravarti says that indirectly he is saying that this curse is also for her, not only for me. You also cursed your daughter. And maybe he was looking at Devyani. He says, are you happy now? Because you are also cursed. Now I have an old husband. Actually he should not have tried to change it. That would be the punishment for Devyani. Because now what Devyani will do? And die quickly, then she will become widow. So he said, you change it. Sukrapi vimrishya prasidan uvacha. So Sukracharya also considered this, and he became satisfied with his request and said, Yatheshtam jara vayasa yaunena vyatyasyatam vininiyatam. That you can exchange your youth with whomever who can give you. Nanu jaram grihitva vinimayena yaunam ka khalu dasyati. So now if he says, well, who will change that? I mean, who is willing to do that to anybody? That I become old and you take my youth. I said, you never heard anything like this in the whole history. This is the only example of this. So tatraha yo abhidhasyati. So then he answered abhidhasyati. Yah putradikas tvai snehena abhito dhasyati jaram dharishyati. So abhidhasyati, he is giving the meaning that one who will happily give his youth to you, your son or someone. So therefore that is the meaning of abhidhasyati. Yadva, abhidha also means to speak, one who will speak, but here he means one who will hold it. Yadva tvameva vinimayam sarvan gyapaya tesu madhya yo abhidhasyati yaunam dattva jaramesham aham grinami iti vadishyanti. Or the meaning is that you yourself should declare this, that I want to take your youth and give me your old age, and one who will do this, yes, that is the meaning of abhidhasyati, that I will take your old age. So iti labdha vyavasthanaha putram jeshtham avochata yado tata pratichha imam jaram dehi nijam vaya. So when this arrangement was made, then he came home with his wife and he called all his sons, 5 of them, 2 from Devyani and 3 from Sharmistha. So he said, look, my sons, I have become old, but I am not yet done with my youthful duties. So you please, any one of you, take my old age and give your youth. So he looked around, there was a pin drop silence. This has never happened before. And The sons were looking at each other, maybe he will do it, maybe he will do it. So nobody said anything. He looked at each one of them. To whomever he looked, he puts his face down. Right? Didn't want to face him. So finally he thought, it will not work like this. I better ask. So he spoke to the eldest one, who is Yadu. So therefore he said, Putram Jyeshtham Avochata. He spoke to the eldest son, Yadu. So his name is Yadu. He says, Oh Yadu, Tata, my dear son, Pratichha imam jaram dehi nij vaya. Now take this old age. I bought a gift for you. I went to your maternal grandfather's place. He gave a gift. And he said, give this to Yadu. He likes you very much. This is a gift I got from him, so I want to give it to you. Please take this gift from your grandfather and give me your old age, your youth. So this is what he said to Yadu. So Yadu said, actually I am not in need of gifts. So sometimes people give useless gifts and I'm sick of these gifts. They are occupying my room so much. I need some space. So you can keep it for yourself or you can send it back to grandpa. That I don't need it. So he said, Mata maha kritam vatsa natripto visheshvaham. He says this is given by Matamaha. Matamaha and Pitamaha. Pitamaha means father's father. Matamaha is mother's father. So he says, Natripto visheshvaham. I am not yet satisfied in the Vishaya, sense objects. Vayasa bhavdiyena ramse katipaya sama. So if you give me your youth, then for some time I will enjoy more. Then I will give it back to you. I am just borrowing it. Not that I will keep it for the rest of my life, but just give for some time. And you can relax with old age for some time. It is good to have experience of life, right? I mean, who get the opportunity to have experience of old age in youth? It's a rare opportunity coming free of cost. So you will be known as a wise person so quickly. People will start coming to you for asking for advice because you will look a wise man with beard and long hair, and so take it. When you have to sell something, you have to tell good qualities of that, right? So it says old age has certain advantages. Everybody respects. If you are somewhere, they give you seat. If you are in a train or a bus, right? If you go into the assembly, then people stand up. And state welfare program, start getting your monthly paycheck. So there are many advantages. So then when he heard this, then Yadu said as follows. There is no commentary on this. Yaduruvacha. So Yadu said, Notsahe jarsa sthatum antara praptaya tvaya tava aviditva sukham gramim vatrishnyam naiti purusha. So Yadu also spoke the truth, straightforward. He says, I do not dare to take your old age and give my youth to you. Because I am young. People don't want old age in old age. Right? When people are old, then they dye their hair. What does that mean? They are not ready to accept old age, although it is old age. So he says that, look, Dad, people don't want to accept old age in old age, and you are telling me to accept old age in youth. He says this is not very reasonable proposal. So you are saying that you are not satisfied yet. I have not even begun my journey, and you are bringing it to an end. So what will happen? I will have all my repressed desires. So I will become a psychotic case. So please don't do that, otherwise I have to go for psychotherapy for years. So he said that aviditva sukham gramyam vatrishnyam naiti purusha. So he is also giving his logical answer that unless one undergoes the experience of sense pleasures, one cannot become renounced. Because you hear that sense objects are source of suffering. Right? Krishna says this. Yahi sansparsha bhoga dukhyone evate. So you tell to some young person that sense objects are source of suffering. What the young person will say? Really? That's why all these people are engaged in it? If they are source of suffering, why nobody is getting rid of them? So he says that people who are actually having experience of sense pleasures and suffering, they don't become renounced. How can somebody who has not experienced it will become renounced? So you are making sure that I don't become renounced from sense objects, and I won't be able to experience them, what will happen? I will be just suffering. But that's not the goal of life. I want to be a devotee. I want to serve God. So for that I have to be renounced. And renunciation is not possible without going through the experience. So enjoyment leads to renunciation. That is the principle he is stating. So therefore he says, I cannot do this. So nanu bhuyana janati. What is that? Vishatikshnapam. That one does not understand the troubles or problems or suffering which comes on sense enjoyments unless one has the experience. Unless you burn your finger in fire, how do you know that it burns and it is painful? No matter how many times people tell you, you will never know it. Everybody has experience of it, right? Then only they are afraid. Not that you don't touch the fire because you were told don't touch it. But actually you have burnt your finger, right? Therefore you keep distance. But if you have not burnt your finger and you have not got the opportunity yet to burn it, no matter how many times you hear, you will not be careful with fire. As soon as you get it, you will get into the trouble. But once you have burnt your finger, then nobody has to tell you this. Don't touch fire, right? So he says, I want to touch fire so that I burn my finger and then I will be done with it. It is better to burn the finger once and then you don't have to burn it again. Otherwise, you don't know whether it really burns or does not burn, and what kind of pain you get. So this is what Yadu's logic is. So conclusion is that he refused. Simple. So now Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has to protect Yadu, because Krishna is Yadava. He is called Yadava, Yadavendra, Yadunandana, so many names. So Yadu has to be given respect. So therefore he writes little bit to that effect. He says, Antara yauvan madhye eva kutaha aviditva iti. So he says, how is that I can become old even when I am just full of youth? So he says, I am asya ashaya. The meaning is as follows. Mama vidhitsata bhagavad bhaktyanukulam vishaya vastrinyam apekshitam vartate. Says that my goal is that I want to perform bhakti to Bhagavan, and you cannot perform bhakti if you are not detached, if you are not dispassionate to material pleasures, then bhakti is not possible. Right? Visyavisht chittasya Krishna bhakti sudurta varuni diggatam vastu kathamendriyam avapnuyat. So a person whose heart is captivated by Vishayas, sense pleasures, then bhakti is millions of miles away from such a person. Bhakti and Vishaya, they cannot have samanadhikaranya. They cannot be co-located. They cannot exist together. They are not friends. They are like Sharmistha and Devyani. So bhakti is the queen and they are all servants, but they stay away. So therefore he said that my goal is to do bhakti, and bhakti is not possible without Vishaya Vatrishnya, without becoming detached, dispassionate towards sense objects. So for that reason, what you are proposing is not very appealing to me. Tacha bhog bahulyam vina prayo na bhavet. Now, dispassion comes in two ways. One is that somebody is very sattvic, very wise, and has some natural detachment, and then you teach to such a person, so it makes sense to that person. Other it comes is that when you enjoy too much, so then you become completely like when you eat too much sweet, you lose taste for it. So either you explain to the person that eating sweet is not good, it will give you diabetes, other problems will come, and the person understands. So that is very rare that can happen. One is that you give this person sweet as much as he wants till he get diabetes. Then he will say, no, I don't want sweets, this is too much trouble. That also, if can happen, person is still wise, otherwise people take insulin and still eat. So he says that without bhog bahulya, without enjoying to the ultimate extreme, it's just like if you keep on going to west, then ultimately you end up in east. Right? Go around and so similarly, if you enjoy too much, you will end up in renunciation, detachment. So that is the principle he is explaining, that bhog bahulya gives vitrishna. So tyaga comes from bhoga. Tyagi Maharaj, he knows this. So this is, says bhog bahulyam vina prayo na bhavet. Generally he says it is not possible. It doesn't mean that it has to be. It's not a must. Tatra yadyapi kal vilambe sati tvam swiyam jaram grihitva madhyavnam dasyasi iti janami. So he says that I know that after some time you will give me back my youth and take away your old age. But this is what he can say, well, why are you so much in hurry? Just wait for some time. Let me finish my business and then you finish your business, so we both can do that. Let me first become renounced. I was already on this path. So for me, it's like I already traveled half the way. Another half is remaining. Help me with that. Then I give it to you and then you start your journey. So we both can benefit from your youth. So he was not willing to do that. He says that I know that you will give me my youth back. Tadapi nirantaraya hari bhajan sot kanthasya mam kal vilambasya asahiyatvat. So he says the problem is that I am so eager to engage in hari bhajan without any obstacle that I cannot wait. That you make me old, then I am waiting when I will become young, then I will become renounced, then I will do Hari Bhajan. He says that is a very long program and I want to get into bhakti as quickly as possible. Therefore, this is not very appealing to me. So, piturapi tava imam agyam ne palayami. Although you are my father and I should be obeying you, but for a higher purpose, for the sake of bhakti, I am not following you. Because you want to take my youth and misuse it. Like sometimes I have read people discussing this, that should Vaishnavas donate their limbs or not. So some people say, well, what if your limb is given to some materialistic person, which is mostly the case, then as a Vaishnava, now he is using your limb for sense pleasure. So you are actually promoting. So this is not fair or not proper for a Vaishnava. So Yadu Maharaj is also saying this, that I want to be a devotee and now I give my youth to you so that you can waste it. Instead of I applying it in bhakti, I give my youth to you, so you use it for materialistic pleasure. So that's not a good solution, that's not a good deal. So therefore he says, I am willing to disobey you for that. Atra yad bhavet tad bhavatu. So he says, what if this will bring you some sin, this, that? He says, let whatever happen, I don't care. I am fixed on my Hari Bhakti. and I don't want to think of going to hell, this, that. अतएव यदोश्च धर्मशीलस्य इति राज्ञा दशमे वक्ष्यते. So therefore, in the 10th canto, in the very beginning, the first chapter of 10th canto, second sloka, Parikshit Maharaj himself, he says that Yadu, and his adjective is Dharmashilasya. Yadascha Dharmashilasya Nitram Muni Sattame Tadansena Utirnasya Vishnur Varnasi Viryani Sansana. He says, please explain to us the activities of Krishna, who appeared in the dynasty of Yadu Maharaj, who was very Dharmashila, who was very dharmic person. And we also know that in 11th canto also there is a meeting between Yadu and Avadhuta. That Avadhuta Gita is there in 8th chapter or 7th chapter. So there also Krishna himself is calling Yadu as a great person. So he calls him as Yadunena Mahabhago Brahmanyena Sumedhasa. He calls him as Sumedhasa, intelligent. Why? Because he doesn't want to just be sentimental. He is my father, I follow him. And then following what? Promote his sense pleasure. So he says, no, I'm not interested in that. So Ragya Dashme Vakshate. So this is King Parikshit in 10th canto. Param dharma apekshaya pitur agya palan lakshan dharmasya prakritasya sankadi bhiriva tena tyagat. So there is a, what do you say, conflict between param dharma and dharma. So param dharma is bhakti and dharma is this varnashram dharma. So now there is a conflict between them. So which one should take? So obviously when there is a conflict between param dharma and dharma, one should take to param dharma. So that's what Yadu Maharaj did. And Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti, he gives the example that this was also done by the 4 Kumaras at the very beginning of creation, because they are the first sons of Brahma born from his mind, Manasputra. And he told them that you should engage in procreation, and they refused. So engaging in procreation, that is the normal dharma, and they were interested in superior dharma. So therefore they did not follow that. So that example is there in the very beginning of creation. Yataiva santushya tadvanse Bhagavan swayam avtatar. So therefore Bhagavan Krishna himself, he appeared in the dynasty of Yadu Maharaj. Yadoho priyasya anvavaye iti kunti stutischa. Therefore Kunti Devi has also prayed. When she was saying, why have Krishna, why have you appeared on earth? She gave various reasons, that you have come to increase the fame of Yudhishthira Maharaj, you have come to relieve the earth of the burden, you have come to propagate bhakti, Muni Paramahansanam, Bhakti Yoga Vidhanartham Katham Pashyame Histriya. All that she was saying. One of the things she also said that you have come to increase the fame of Yadu. So Yadu Priyasya, Yadoho Priyasya Anvavaya. Yatu Uttar Shloke Adharmagya iti Shukokti Satu Turvasvadinam Pratyeva. Now in the next sloka, the other sons, they are called Adharmagya, because he asked In the next sloka, Turvasuschodita Pitra Druhiyo Chanuscha Bharata Pratyachakhyura Dharmagya Hi Anitya Nitya Buddhaya. That after when Yadu refused, he asked Turvasu, then he asked Druhiyo, then he asked Anu, and all three of them refused. So he says that they were adharmagya, not knowing what is dharma. So now the question comes that the adharmagya, is it applicable only to those three or also to Yadu? So Vishwanath Chakravarti says that adharmagya has been used only for those three and not for Yadu. Why? Because for them a different reason is given. Hiya nitya nitya buddhaya. That they are considering the temporary material body as eternal. And therefore they thought that why shall we give our youth to him? So then, now the last hope is on the youngest son, Puru. 4 of them refused. So then he asked him, Apricchata tanayam purum vaishone gunadhikam ne tvam agraja vadivatsa mam pratyakyatum arhasi. So then he asked Puru, who was the youngest in age but eldest in qualities. He said that, my son Puru, it does not behoove you to refuse me like your elder brothers, because they are your agraja, they are superior to you, so don't follow them. Otherwise, already a standard is set for them. Yadu set the standard for everyone to follow. If you would have asked them first, maybe they would not have dared to say no. But the eldest said no. Now everybody got the courage to say no. So he asked them one by one, and they all refused. So here it is not described, but in Mahabharata there is a description that they all got cursed one by one. So Yadu, he said, no one will become king in your dynasty. And then Turuhu, that you will become Malecha, all this. So some people think that this Turvasu, Druhiyo, Anu, they are the one who went to Europe. So I read that these druids, you heard of druids? They are the followers of Druhiyo. And Turks are coming from Turvasu. And Anu, this Ionians, Greeks, also called Ionians.
From one island.
So this is the Anu. So Anu, Turvasu and Druhiyo, all out. Only Yadu remained here. He also Dwarka. So now Puru, he speaks. Konu loke manushendra pitur atmakritah puman pratikartum kshamo yasya prasadat vindate param. So Puru said that, O king, in this world, who can repay the debt of father? pitur atmakritam puman prati. The welfare which father does to the son, which son can pay him back? Says it is not possible. Why? Yasya prasadad vindate param. Because by his grace only the son can attain param, which Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that means heaven. So atmakrita deha utpadayetuhu. So he says that the word atmakrita could mean different things, but he glosses it as one who produces or gives the body. And body is the basis for everything. So param could mean, as Vishwanath Chakravarti glosses it, heaven. Jiva Goswami says param means Parameshwar. So this body is the basis for attaining dharma, artha, kama, moksha and also prema. And this body is produced by father and of course mother also. So whatever you attain with the help of the body, and parents are the source of that body. So how can you repay them? So this is what he is saying. So he is feeling very grateful to his father, and he did not refuse him for that reason. So therefore Jiva Goswami also says, Yasya prasadat prasadena praptat manushya dehat param parameshwaram api vindate labhate pundrikvad yasya prasadadeva. He says, by whose grace one gets the human body, and with this human body one can attain Parameshwara, Supreme God. So therefore, who can pay him? And then this is a very nice sloka, next one. Uttamas chintitam kuryat proktakari tu madhyamaha adhmo shraddhaya kuryad akartau charitam pituhu. He says that the best son or servant is one who does what is needed even without being told to do. So uttamas chintitam kuryat, that he just guesses it, that this should be done, or this is what my father wants. So even before he is told verbally, he understands it. So this is the best servant or best son. And proktakari tu madhyama, the medium is one who does what he is told to do. So he says that you have already made me medium. I wanted to be the number one, Uttama, the best, but by asking me, I am already Madhyama. And then the Adhamo Ashraddhaya Kuryat, then the lowest one is one who does it but grudgingly. Sometimes you are asked to do that, you don't refuse it, you do it, but not with your heart. So Madhyam is one who does it and he is happy to do it. The topmost is who doesn't need to be told, he does it without being told, and obviously happily. So these are the three ones. But there is also the fourth one. So akarta ucharita pitu. So there is one who doesn't obey, who does not do. So he says that he is not a son. He is just, the ucharita is used for stool. So that's what he is. He is the refuse. No wonder he refuses. So these are the 4 types of people. So tadapi tavagyam palyan aham uttama putro na kintu madhyama eveti. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti says that I follow your order, but I am not the best son. Why? Because I am doing it on being asked. Uchcharitam mutra mal sadrishayati. So Uchcharita means like stool and urine. So that is the 4th type. Iti pramudita puruhu pratyagriha pituhu sopi tadvasa kaman yathavajjujushe nripa. So in this way Puru happily accepted the old age of his father. So this is quite amazing that somebody did this. It's not an ordinary thing. And then the father became young again. And that is also quite extraordinary, that father is being such a bold person to ask from the son to give his youth. I mean, to ask such a thing is also something. If you go to somebody and you ask something from him, you should also consider whether it is appropriate to ask to a person. Just because somebody is willing to give does not mean that you can ask anything. It's like Indra goes to Dadhichi and says, give me your bones. I mean, somebody comes to you and says, give me your bones. What would you think of this person? Means how selfish one can be. That to protect yourself, you are asking other person's bones. So how selfish Yayati is, that he is asking his son's youth. Right? This is a limit of selfishness. And how unselfish his son who is giving it. So anyway, they exchanged, and then Yayati was on the job. So he says that Kaman Yathavad Jujushe Nirpal, and the king he enjoyed as before. So of course enjoyment here, don't think like modern day people, they are still dharmic people. Yayati is also a dharmic person. So within the bounds of dharma only he enjoyed. But still it is quite to think what type of heart he must have to ask for such a thing, or how attached he was, right? Because when you are attached to something, then you can go to any limit. You can cross all boundaries. Yes.
When he was trying to convince the elder sons, and the sons they give arguments. One of them he said, I don't give you because you're going to just we are going on in the sense enjoyment, and this is I don't give my youth for that purpose. So then my question is that he had a sincere desire to complete his enjoyment, and then getting into the renouncement. But this doesn't work.
What does not work?
That the enjoyment brings renunciation, and then
Why?
enjoyment brings renunciation, but he was sincere in his requirement, in his request, or he just wanted to enjoy.
What he said, he was sincere.
He was sincere.
That's what Vishnu Chakravarti was explaining.
Then was wrong from the side of the other children not to give.
No, he means who, Yayati or Yadu?
No,
Yeah, but Yadu is also sincere. I mean, you are arguing from the other side and now you say he is sincere.
And this was my question, if he's sincere or not.
So, when you say he, make it clear who is he. Better use the name. Yeah, he is sincere.
He's sincere.
And you will see that he will renounce
Okay.
in the next chapter.
Two questions also in that regard. Yayati was depicted as a very dharmic king in the beginning when he saw Devayani in the pond. It was not about enjoyment. He was considering whether he should marry her, whether it's dharmic or not. And then when he was asked by Shamishta to beget children, even then he was not overcome by lust, but he was again very considerate. So it seems usually you would expect that a person over time becomes more renounced, more dharmic, more realized, but in his case, he's becoming suddenly very selfish, much more than he was previously, it seems. So, how is it?
So, it is not that he is becoming and he was not or anything like that. These are two separate issues. At that time there was no such thing of being selfish or not selfish. He is considering what is dharma. So dharma is very clear that Kshatriya does not marry the daughter of Brahmana. Right? So that's what he was considering there. There is no thing that this is selfishness or not selfishness. But now selfishness is coming here, that he is asking for the youth of the son. I'm not thinking that why the son is going to become old and I'm going to become. So naturally it's for his own self. So they are marrying or not marrying, no one else was involved in that. If he is doing a dharmic, he is doing a dharmic act. He is doing dharmic act, he is doing dharmic act. He is not doing it at the expense of someone else. But now he is putting somebody else into old age.
One more question about Yadu. When a new person comes to the path of bhakti nowadays, we encourage them to give up all sense gratification, to just do bhajan, and then anatta nivritti, and then slowly the desires leave. So we would not, if somebody says first they have to go through all the enjoyment, like Parviti Marga, that's not what we recommend. So if somebody is really sincere, as he says, he wants to, as quickly as possible, so he wants to engage in bhakti. So why can't he do that without having to first undergo the enjoyment and then become renounced from it?
Because there was no temple there. There was no ashram where he could go and live. He's still living in his kingdom. So you also have to see the different circumstances were there. Now there are different circumstances. The people who are now coming, whom you are saying new people, they've already enjoyed. Nobody is coming like a virgin, So they are not like that. Enjoyment also is not something that they are going to go for some party or this or that and go, I'm going to have girlfriend. But they will follow dharma, but experience and then live.
I was just thinking of Yayati, that both the times when he was trying to make a decision, he was thinking of dharma. But wasn't he thinking of dharma when he asked Guru his?
You see, you have to define what is dharma. There is dharma and then there is ethics or morality or this. So don't confuse that. He is the father and there is a son. So son obey the father and he is asking that to do. He is not asking them to do some, okay, go and steal or do this. Is whatever he is doing in the bounds of dharma, but obviously in that he is being inconsiderate in the sense, obviously taking, like many times you hear Guru is being very very harsh with the disciple. So then you say, is it dharma? No, there is nothing adharma about it. Gurus are like that, it is his job. He has something in his mind, he is training him. So that's not dharma or adharma involved there. Dharma will be there if he says, okay, now you go and murder somebody, steal something, or that. Then he's obviously engaging the person in a dharmic act. Can you give the mic here?
So the son who accepted to offer his youth to Yayati, was he the son of Devyani or of Sarmishta? And if whoever it is, does that have any significance?
I think it's son of Devyani, but let's see.
Last one.
No, he is son of Sarmishta. Yadu and Turvasu are Devyani and Druhiyo and Puru is Sarmishta.
And does that have any significance? Why it was her son, not the others?
No, there's no significance. Probably you can say that youngest son, parents are more attached to the younger ones. They're more affectionate, right? So therefore they're also reciprocating like that. Okay, anybody else? All right.